I'm Clifton Slade from Hoplite Venture Trek, along with Gone Jeepin'. I'm here with Pat Gramillion, and we are going to be talking about his family's invention, the Pull Pal. Before we get started, because what do you know, I happen to be stuck. And I know that's really what this tool is for, is sort of a self-extrication device.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember the story right, your Dan's father invented this back in the 50s or 60s or something? 60s.
68, around 67, 68.
So tell me just a little bit of that story.
He was an inventor. He invented a single handle faucet, cold, hot run water, a lot of things. And he would get in, he was from Blythe, California. He would just get in his Jeep and just drive, thinking of things. And he'd get stuck out there. He was a very heavy guy, wouldn't take any water, and we almost lost him several times. He came in one day and he goes, "Nobody will ever get stuck again." And we go, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the Pull Pal. You saw the first one.
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah. And it is pretty close to this design, truly. Spade's different. There's some engineering changes.
Yeah, we did change.
But so he came home, said, "Nobody will ever get stuck again." And then he started drawing up this design in some fashion.
In the back, we started hammering it out. We had a tool and die shop, and we hammered one out. You saw it. You saw the first one. Mm-hmm. And we went and they had sand dunes just like this in El Segundo. I mean, it was beautiful. We used to play a lot. And we went out and we played, and we played, and we played. And then we thought, well, we were in a club, and we made a few for the club members and stuff, and then we just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because, I went my way with my wife and kids, and he, in El Segundo, his shop just kept growing, and we got out of the Jeeping, and I started, we were racing motorcycles and playing, and just let it go. And then about 1980, somewhere in there, we all got together and started laughing about it. And
there's this big gap there. So I heard 60s and 80s. So what was it in the 80s where you're like, hey, this is something?
Start Jeeping.
Okay.
We started playing, and we had gotten off the motorcycles and we started Jeeping and sandwugging and stuff and going to Glamis. Mm-hmm. And kind of looked at one another one night. We had a beer and looked across the fire, and he goes, "What do we ever do with that Pull Pal?"
Yeah.
It's in the shop.
Now, did you guys was the name Pull Pal from the very beginning?
Very beginning.
He just said it's Pull Pal.
Pull Pal. That's my Pull Pal.
So it's never been anything else.
Nothing. Never
my pal that can pull me out.
Nope. Not a land anchor. Okay. If people call it whatever they want to. The original name is set in stone. The Pull Pal.
Now, I know that we're in sand, and I think a lot of times people think about this as a sand tool, and so did Pat was talking about it. But this tool really works in lots of varied terrain, correct?
Yeah. If you can get the spade started and the ground is firm enough, people have to understand you have to have compaction. I mean, you can't just put it in soils that, loamy and stuff. If you do, you have to dig a hole and, put another, let it go down to compaction. Sand is one of the best materials for compaction. It's like this here. You go a foot down, baby, it's compacted.
I would say I've used the Pull Pal many times in, like I said, muddy, swampy stuff, even in rocks where you get it started, where there was some soil in between the rocks. Mm-hmm. Sand, obviously. I have used it in snow, and snow's tricky because if it's too powdery, you almost have to heat up the snow and pack it and actually make sort of a snow anchor base to make it work.
We dug a trench, dig that first trench. Mm-hmm. Then you get down to the icy snow, you've got to get that powder and that loamy, fluffy out of the way.
Right.
So basically you cut a trench, take it back out, and go down again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, the first one that you ever gave me, I don't remember the rating on it, but I know now you've got, if I got this right, like some 6,000 to 14,000. Is that correct?
16,000.
We got 16,000.
6,000, 11,000, 14,000, and a 16,000.
So what are those? So 6,000 is like your UTVs and Jeeps?
Yeah, my UTVs, Jeeps. I'm really careful who I sell that to because it works on 6,000, you know, small stuff. I don't want a guy to take it in his Jeep and take it out and it didn't work on a heavier Jeep, you know. I mean, you know, but I carry a 6,000. It's if you recognize you're getting stuck, you know, you stop and, you know, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be aware of your situation.
All the time.
Yeah.
So Pat, what's the number mean? I mean, I feel like it's
Your
probably
GVW that it'll pull out to, you know, your 14,000. Now we say with wheels in motion. It's not a dead. I mean, it isn't designed to be a dead 14,000 pound pull. It'll get you a 14,000 pound a truck, a larger truck. We go with the 14s. The 16,000 we've extended the spade to compact more, you know, to give you a bigger surface. Basically, that's about it. I mean, it's just a great tool. We've had a long time playing with it. It's been good.
well, and I would argue that the pull pal, when you talk about like overlanding, which is it's a new term, but I think it's an old practice. I've heard several people say what overlanding is and it isn't. It's like, well, we used to do that a long time ago. But as far as overlanding and that kind of thing, I think about this pull pal as maybe one of the first overlanding tools. We didn't always use it in rock crawling necessarily.
No, I don't even sell. That's what we were doing in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, little flat fenders and, you know, the little 6-cylinder Jeeps and, you know, and then we were camping. We were going out to Glamis. We were, you know, and we called it camping. Now you call it overlanding, you know, the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's actually a really kind of come back again as a really important tool for some of the current off-road trends.
We're proud of it. We've been very successful, way more than I ever. You couldn't have told me that I could have made a living doing this.
Sure.
I mean, you know, you just start and you just go, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's been a blessing for people that have been stuck, and I've definitely used it by myself. And short of just digging a big hole and burying a tire or something else to anchor to, way out here in the desert is hard. So it's an easy tool to use. And get you out pretty quick, and it folds up. It's a bulkier tool. The smaller ones, of course, are smaller. Yeah. So you do have to allot for space, but any of your equipment you do.
Well, it's like I tell people, you know, you've got a 7,000 pound truck, you know, 16 feet long, you know, wide, and this is what I'm telling you will pull you out. In a lot of, I mean, this will do a lot with wheels in motion. You know, help me a little bit, you know. I mean, don't go to your frame. People can get out, but you're going to work a lot harder.
Yeah. Pat, as far as the design goes, I know that you've done some reinforcement on it, and you've also, we're going to be using soft shackles today.
Yes.
I know that soft shackles are a newer thing, and I saw that you have made a soft edge relatively here. Yeah. So I can still use a bow shackle on it,
Anything.
But a soft shackle works the same.
Yeah, so it works perfectly.
And as far as deployment, as I remember, it's just this.
That's it. Step on it, put the spade on it.
There it is. It's very, very quickly deploys. I've got the Jeep set up back here, and it's pretty stuck. So we're going to pull it uphill, which should challenge the pull pal and see what it's got. So Pat's gonna free spool the rope up here to the pull pal. We're gonna hook it up, and then we're gonna actually pull the Jeep out. We're gonna soft shackle this up. So I'm gonna go in the Jeep and start using the winch. I'm gonna spin all 4 wheels and get pulled out.
Is it working?
What's going on?
Is it pulling you? Your front. Are you broken?
Well, Pat, looks like I really am stuck because there's something going on. It won't go into 4-wheel drive. Might have a broken Detroit or a hub. So I'm just going to try it. Here we go.
Pull on the winch, see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, it worked really well. I actually wasn't sure if that would be too much work, because I actually wasn't in four-wheel drive. I was just in too low, I suppose. And even with the incline, I mean, we got it out, and it was like the weakest point of the winch because I had no cable out. So it was like minimum cable, and I was still able to pull up. Well, as far as deep as it was buried, I thought that was gonna be harder.
But you notice the moisture in the sand now?
Yeah.
That compaction is amazing. And a lot of people think it's going to shoot through the holes in there like a little sieve.
Yeah.
It don't. Once it starts compacting, it's there.
Well, Pat, let's try this. I don't know what's going on with the Jeep.
Well, let's
But
do whatever you want to do.
let's say this anchor wasn't good enough or it needed more. Let's double them up.
There you go.
So what we're doing is we're going to have the tandem pull pals instead of the singular one. It's going to really simulate if you had unstable ground and needed two. Otherwise, singular might just pull out. So we're going to disperse the load upon two, and we're going to pull the Jeep out one more time. All right, Pat. How's it going?
It just got to let the winch do it.
Yeah.
You ain't getting no traction.
All right, success. Got back up the hill for the third time, even though my front end is broken. With the double anchor and the redirect, it was smooth. We're going to come up here and see how deep the pull pals are pulled in, and just kind of wrap it up with that. Whew. All right, well, we have some diversity today, Pat. Front end's broken on the Jeep, but I think we have success. It's a cool tool. I already knew it was a good tool, but it was good spending the afternoon with you.
Thank you.
I appreciate getting first-hand information from your design and making sure I was using it right.